تحت الكساء، فما كانت إلا ثاءة، وإذا بولد الحسين قد أقبل وقال: السلام عليك يا أمه. فقلت: وعليك السلام يا ولدي ويا قرة عيني وثمرة فؤادي. فقال لي: يا أماه إني شم عندك رائحة طيبة كأنها رائحة جدي رسول الله. فقلت: نعم، إن جدك وأخاك تحت الكساء. فدنا الحسين عليه السلام نحو الكساء وقال: السلام عليك يا جدا، السلام عليك يا من اختار الله، أتأذن لي أن أكون معكم تحت الكساء؟ فقال: وعليك السلام يا ولدي ويا شافع أمتي، قد أذنت لك. فدخلا معهما تحت الكساء. فأقبل عند ذلك أبو الحسن علي بن أبي طالب وقال: السلام عليك يا بنت رسول الله. فقلت: وعليك السلام يا أبا الحسن ويا أمير المؤمنين. فقال: يا فاطمة إني أشم عندك رائحة طيبة كأنها رائحة أخي وابن عمي رسول الله. فقلت: نعم، ها هو مع ولديك تحت الكساء. فأقبل علي نحو الكساء وقال: السلام عليك يا رسول الله، أتأذن لي أن أكون معكم تحت الكساء؟ فقال: وعليك السلام يا أخي ويا وسيي وخليفتي والصاحب لوائي، قد أذنت لك. فدخل علي تحت الكساء، ثم أتيت نحو الكساء وقلت: السلام عليك يا أبتا، يا رسول الله، تأذن لي أن أكون معكم تحت الكساء؟ فقال: وعليك السلام يا بنتي ويا بدعتي، قد أذنت لك. فدخلت تحت الكساء، فلما اكتملنا جميعا تحت الكساء، أخذ أبي رسول الله بطرفي الكساء وأومأ بيده اليمنى إلى السماء وقال: اللهم إنا هؤلاء أهل بيتي وخاصتي وحامتي، لحمهم لحمي ودمهم دمي، يؤلمني ما يؤلمهم ويحزنني ما يحزنهم، أنا حرب لمن حاربهم وسلم لمن صالمهم، وعدو لمن آذاهم ومحب لمن أحبهم، إنهم مني وأنا منهم. فجعل صلواتك وبركاتك ورحمتك وغفرانك ورضوانك علي وعليهم، وأذهب عنهم الرجس وطهرهم تطهيرا. فقال الله عز وجل: يا ملائكتي ويا سكان السماوات، إني ما خلقت السماء مبنية ولا أرضا مدهية ولا قمرا منيرا ولا شمسا مدية ولا فلكا يدور ولا بحر يجري ولا فلك يسري إلا في محبة هؤلاء الخمسة الذين تحت الكساء، هم تحت الكساء. فقال الأمين جبرائيل: يا ربي، ومن تحت الكساء؟ فقال عز وجل: لهم أهل بيت النبوة ومعدن الرسالة، هم فاطمة وأبوها وبعلها وبنوها. فقال جبرائيل: يا ربي، أتأذنني أن أهبط إلى الأرض لأكون معهم سادسا؟ فقال الله: نعم، قد أذنت لك. فهبط الأمين جبرائيل وقال: السلام عليك يا رسول الله العلي الأعلى، يقرئك السلام ويخصك بالتهية والإكرام ويقول لك: وعزتي وجلالي، إني ما خلقت السماء مبنية ولا أرضا مدهية ولا قمرا منيرا ولا شمسا مدية ولا فلك يدور ولا بحر يجري ولا فلك يسري إلا لأجلكم ومحبتكم. وقد أذن لي أن أدخل معكم فهل تأذن لي يا رسول الله؟ فقال رسول الله وعليك السلام يا أمين وحي الله إنهم نعم قد أذنت لك. فدخل جبرائيل معنا تحت الكساء فقال لأبي إن الله قد أوحى إليكم يقول إنما يريد الله يذهب عنكم الرجس أهل البيت ويطهركم تطهيرا. فقال علي لأبي يا رسول الله أخبرني ما لجلوسنا هذا تحت الكساء من الفضل عند الله. فقال النبي صلى الله عليه وآله والذي بعثني بالحق نبيا واصطفاني بالرسالة نجيا ما ذكر خبرنا هذا في محفل من محافل أهل الأرض وفيه جمع من شيعتنا ومحبينا إلا ونزلت عليهم الرحمة وحفت بهم الملائكة واستغفرت لهم إلى أن يتفرقوا. فقال أبي رسول الله صلى الله عليه وآله يا علي والذي بعثني بالحق نبيا واصطفاني بالرسالة نجيا ما ذكر خبرنا هذا في محفل من محافل أهل الأرض وفيه جمع من شيعتنا ومحبينا وفيهم محموم إلا فرج الله همه ولا مغموم إلا وكشف الله غمه ولا طالب حاجة إلا وقضى الله حاجته. فقال علي عليه السلام إذا والله فزنا وسعدنا وكذلك شيعتنا فازوا وسعدوا في الدنيا والآخرة ورب الكعبة. I would like to request Qiyan Bukhari to come and recite the Hadith in English. Salawat.
Assalamu alaikum. My name is Muhammad Khan Bukhari. I'm in 9 to 10 years class. Salawat. O Allah, send your blessings on Muhammad and the family of Muhammad. Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. In the name of Allah, the All-Benefit, the All-Merciful. Fatima the Zahra, the daughter of the Prophet, peace be on them, is to have thus related an event. My father, the Prophet of Allah, came to my house one day and said to me, peace be on you, Fatima. I replied, and upon you be peace. Then he said, I feel weakness in my body. I said, may Allah protect me from weakness, father. He said, Fatima, bring the Yemeni cloak and cover me with it. So I brought the Yemeni cloak and covered him with it. Then I looked at him and saw that his face was shining like a full moon with its glory and splendor. After a while, my son Hassan came in and said, peace be on you, mother. I replied, and upon you be peace, a light of my eyes and the light of my heart. He then said, O mother, I smell a fragrance so sweet and so pure as that of my grandfather, the Prophet of Allah. I replied, yes, your grandfather is underneath the cloak. Hassan went near the cloak and said, peace be on you, grandfather, the Prophet of Allah. May I enter the cloak with you? He replied, and upon you be peace, my son, and the master of my fountain. You are given permission to enter. So Hassan entered the cloak with them. After a while, my son Hussein came in and said, peace be on you, mother. I replied, and upon you be peace, a light of my eyes and the light of my heart. He then said, O mother, I smell a fragrance so sweet and so pure as that of my grandfather, the Prophet of Allah. I replied, yes, your grandfather and your brother are underneath the cloak. Hussein stepped towards the cloak and said, peace be on you, my grandfather, the chosen of Allah. May I enter the cloak with you? He replied, and upon you be peace, my son, the interceder of my followers. You are given permission to enter. So Hussein entered the cloak. After a while, Abul Hassan Ali ibn Abi Talib came in and said, "Peace be on you, O daughter of the Prophet of Allah." I replied, "And upon you be peace, O father of Hassan, the commander of the faithful." He then said, "O Fatima, I smell a fragrance so sweet and so pure as that of my brother and my cousin, the Prophet of Allah." I replied, "Yes, he is underneath the cloak with your two sons." So Ali went near the cloak and said, "Peace be on you, Prophet of Allah, may I enter the cloak with you?" He replied, "And upon you be peace, my brother, my successor, and my standard bearer. You are given permission to enter." So Ali entered the cloak with them. Then I stepped forward and said, "Peace be on you, my father, O Prophet of Allah, may I enter the cloak with you?" He replied, "And upon you be peace, my daughter, a part of myself. You are given permission to enter." So I entered the cloak with them. Getting together underneath the cloak, my father and the Prophet of Allah held two ends of the cloak and raised his right hand towards the heavens and prayed, "O Allah, these are the people of my household, Ahlul Bayt. They are my confidence and my supporters. Their flesh is my flesh, their blood is my blood. Whoever hurts them displeases me too. Whoever hurts them hurts me too. Whoever displeases them displeases me too. I am at war with those who are at war with them. I am at peace with those who are at peace with them. I am enemies of their enemies, and I am friends of their friends. They are from me and I am from them. O Allah, bestow your blessings and benevolence, forgiveness and your pleasure upon me and upon them, and keep them away from impurity and flaws, and keep them thoroughly purified." Salawat. Then the Lord, Almighty Allah, said, "O my angels, O residents of my heavens, verily I have not created the erected sky, the stretched earth, the illuminate moon, the bright sun, the rotating planets, the flowing seas, and the sailing ships, but for the love of these five underneath the cloak." Gabriel, the trusted angel, asked, "Who are underneath the cloak?" The Almighty answered, "They are the household of the Prophet and the assets of prophethood. They are Fatima, her father, her husband, and her two sons." Salawat. Gabriel said, "O Lord, may I fly to earth to be the sixth of them?" Allah replied, "Yes, you are given the permission." Gabriel, the trusted, landed near them and said, "Peace be on you, O Prophet of Allah." The All-Highest conveys his peace and his greetings and says, By honor and glory, O my angels, O residents of my heavens, verily I have not created the erected sky, the stretched earth, the illuminate moon, the bright sun, the rotating planets, the flowing seas, and the sailing ships, but for your sake and love. And Allah has given me permission to enter the cloak with you. May I enter the cloak with you, O Prophet of Allah?" The Prophet replied, "And peace be on you, O trusted bearer of Allah's revelations. You are given permission to enter." So Gabriel entered the cloak with us and said to my father, "Allah sends his revelations to you. Verily, Allah desires to keep you away from impurity and flaws, O people of Ahlul Bayt, and keep you thoroughly purified." Salawat. Then Ali said to my father, "O Prophet of Allah, tell me what significance has Allah given for getting together underneath this cloak?" The Prophet replied, "By him who rightfully appointed me a prophet and chose me a messenger for the salvation of mankind, wherever and wherever an assembly of our followers mention this event, Allah will bestow on them his blessings and mercy. Angels will encircle them, asking Allah the remission of their sins until the assembly disperses." So Ali said, "Verily, by the Lord of the Kaaba, we and our followers are the winners." Then my father replied, "By whom who rightfully appointed me a prophet and chose me a messenger for the salvation of mankind, Whenever and wherever an assembly of our followers mention this event, there shall remain none grieved, but Allah will remove his grief. There shall remain none distressed, but Allah will dispel his distress. There shall remain none wish seekers, but Allah will grant his wish. Ali, peace be on him, said, then we have attained pleasure. I swear by Allah, so have our hearts. They have won and attained pleasure in this world and the hereafter. I swear by the Lord of the Kaaba. Salawat.
Jazakallah, Brother Keon. I'd like to invite one of our respected alumni to recite a salam for us. Sayyid Mehdi Naqvi. Please recite a loud salawat for him. Muhammad wa ali Muhammad.
والدی کا صلوات. تیری زہرا پہ مصیبت کی گھڑی ہے، ہاتھ میں جس کے میرا ہاتھ دیا تھا تم نے، کہ من کن تو جسے مولا کہا تھا تم نے، میرے ہر مورے پہ بابا ساتھ اس کا ہے نبھایا. ہاں میرا جرم یہی ہے، تیری زہرا پہ مصیبت کی گھڑی ہے. کبھی دربار میں پیشی کو بلاتے ہیں ہمیں، کبھی دروازے پہ آ کے ستاتے ہیں ہمیں. میرے یہ پھولے سے بچے پوچھتے ہیں یہی مجھ سے، کیا خطا ہم سے ہوئی ہے. تیری زہرا پہ مصیبت کی گھڑی ہے، شرم آتی ہے بھلا تم کو بتاؤں کیسے، یہ تماچوں کے نشاں تم کو دکھاؤں کیسے، تم نہ پہچان سکو گے، دیکھ کر مجھے سے کہو گے، کیا میری زہرا یہی ہے. تیری زہرا پہ مصیبت کی گھڑی ہے، آپ کے سوگ میں تاریخ نہ دیکھا گیا گھر، آگے دروازے پہ امت نے لگا دیا کر، بابا جاں باندے تمہارے دیکھیے گھر میں ہمارے، روشنی کیسی ہوئی ہے. تیری زہرا پہ مصیبت کی گھڑی ہے، ہاتھ میں جس کے میرا ہاتھ دیا تھا تم نے، کہ من کن تو جسے مولا کہا تھا تم نے، اس کا ہے نبھایا، ہاں میرا جرم میں یہی ہے، تیری زہرا پہ مصیبت کی گھڑی ہے، کبھی دربار میں پیشی کو بلاتے ہیں ہمیں، کبھی دروازے پہ آ کے ستاتے ہیں ہمیں، میرے یہ پھولے سے بچے پوچھتے ہیں یہی مجھ سے، کیا خطا ہم سے ہوئی ہے، تیری زہرا پہ مصیبت کی گھڑی ہے، شرم آتی ہے بلا تم کو بتاؤں کیسے، یہ تماچوں کے نشاں تم کو دکھاؤں کیسے، تم نہ پہچان سکو گے، دیکھ کر مجھے سے کہو گے، کیا میری زہرا یہی ہے، تیری زہرا پہ مصیبت کی گھڑی ہے، اور محمد وال محمد صلوات.
Please recite another loud salawat for Mehdi. Now I would like to ask Ayan Hassanan to recite Surah Ikhlas for us. Salawat. Oh, Ryan, my apologies here, Ryan. Salawat.
Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Inna atena ka Kausar, Sania Pika on her, Inna Shaniaka huwa laughter. Allahumma salli Muhammad wa ali Muhammad. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Wallahu ahad, Allahu samad, lam yulad, lam yulid, kufuwan ahad.
Muhammad wa ali Muhammad salawat. Now can I please have Hana Bukhari from the sister to also do Quranic recitation. Salawat.
Assalamu alaikum. My name is Hana Bukhari and I am from class 7 to 8. أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. الحمد لله رب العالمين الرحمن الرحيم مالك يوم الدين إياك نعبد وإياك نستعين صراط المستقيم صراط الذين أنعمت عليهم غير المغضوب عليهم ولا الضالين.
Jazakallah. Please try another loud salawat for Hana Bukhari. Now we'll have one more person join virtually. Their name is Asya. They'll be reciting Surat al-Qadr. Please recite another loud salawat.
Can I start?
Yes.
So I'm gonna pray the surah and then do the whole meaning. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Inna anzalnahu fi laylatil qadr wa ma adraka ma laylatul qadr. Laylatul qadr khairul min shahr. تنزل الملائكة والروح فيها بإذن ربهم من كل أمر سلام هي حتى مطلع الفجر. In the name of Allah, the All-Kind, the All-Merciful. Surely it will be revealed on the night of power. And what will make you comprehend what the night of power is? It is better, the night of power is better than 1,000 months. The angels and Jibreel will descend it in permission by their Lord for every affair. Peace until break of the morning. Thank you.
Allahumma.
Jazakallah. Please recite another loud salawat. Now I'd like to have Brother Askari Rizvi to come and recite a salam on Mullah Hazrat Abbas. Salawat.
This is Islam, Hazrat Ali Asghar. Salawat. Allah. ایک بار سلوات. اللہم صلی علی محمد. بانوں کا یہ ارماں تھا آباد مکان ہوگا. بانوں کا یہ ارماں تھا آباد مکان ہوگا. ایک روز وہ دن ہوگا اصغر بھی جوان ہوگا. بانوں کا یہ ارماں تھا. لوگوں میرے بچے کو مقتل سے اٹھا لاؤ. لوگوں میرے بچے کو مقتل سے اٹھا لاؤ. وہاں دھوپ کی شدت ہے وہاں دھوپ کی شدت ہے. آرام کہاں ہوگا. لاشائی جو اصغر کی ماں کہتی تھی رو رو کر، لاشا جو اصغر کی ماں کہتی تھی رو رو کر، بیٹا تجھے موت آئی، بیٹا تجھے موت آئی، اب کون جوان ہوگا، بانوں کا یہ ارماں تھا، آغوش میں سوتے تھے کیوں گور پسند آئی، آغوش میں سوتے تھے کیوں گور پسند آئی، وہاں خاک کا بستر ہے، وہاں خاک بستر ہے، آرام کہاں ہوگا، بانوں کا یہ ارماں تھا، اصغر تیرے جھولے کو اب کون جھلائے گا، اصغر تیرے جھولے کو اب کون جھلائے گا، میں شام چلی بیٹا، میں شام چلی بیٹا، اب کون یہاں ہوگا، بانوں کا یہ ارماں تھا، آباد مکان ہوگا، ایک روز وہ دن ہوگا، اصغر بھی جوان ہوگا، صلوات۔
Please recite another loud salawat for Brother Askari. I would like to now ask Sister Zara Khan to do a speech on the importance of Muharram in general. Please recite a loud salawat. Zara. Oh yeah, that's right. ایک اور درود بھیجیے.
بسم اللہ الرحمن الرحیم. إنما يريد الله ليذهب عنكم الرجس أهل البيت ويطهركم تطهيرا اللهم صل على محمد وآله. Assalamu alaikum everyone. We are almost at the end of our mourning months, but as Shias, this grief is and will always be part of us. Just before this month ends, let's ask ourselves what we have learned in these 2 months of mourning. The moment who got refreshed in us during this spiritual time, will it survive or will it leave us as the month of sadness departs? The MP3, USB of Nohas and Majlis we have been listening, the message in them, will it stay or will it be replaced with something else? My friends, for sure some part of it stays with us and some is refined with time. In practice, it is just we need to remain connected. The efforts our parents and elders are making in this foreign land by bringing us to these majalis is to keep us intact to roots and purpose of our being, our religion, our deen, Islam. For sure, many of us, by being a little practicing Shia Muslim, have learned the discipline, the etiquettes to attend a majlis, how to show respect and pay our condolence to Bibi Sayyida alayhi salam. Allahumma salli ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad. We may not be able to comprehend all, but if we work on our connection with Allah and Imam of our time, Imam Mahdi alayhi salam, Allahumma salli ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad, and by asking them, please give me the understanding, we will learn bit by bit. These majalis tells us the teaching of our Prophet Muhammad and Imam. It tells us how their relation with Allah was and how they used to deal with people around them. Along with Fazail, these majalis originated by Imam Sajjad alayhi salam and Bibi Zainab alayhi salam. Allahumma salli ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad. Are to cry and remember the great sacrifice of Imam Hussein and his companions for Islam, and how he stood up against wrong and saved Islam for eternal. We don't cry for Imam Hussein for his family being shaheed. Shahadat is their legacy. But being disrespected and brutally killed, along with Bibi's been taken without hijabs places to places, is not the legacy of this sacred family. We cry on this and try to remember if anyone tried to suppress the message of the right path. We have Imam Hussein alayhi salam to look up to with his small and yet impactful army of 72 brave men, trashed the huge but unknown and lost army of Yazid. My friends, for this year, our small take can be the wrong Yazid is gone, done, and finished. But the righteous, pious Hussein is and will always be. Allahumma salli ala Muhammad wa
Jazakallah. I could not. Please recite another loud salawat.
ऊंचा रहे अपना
I would like to now invite up Rian Hasnan to recite, to give a speech on Hazrat Abbas. Salawat.
Here?
I don't think they will see him. He's like pretty short. Ayan? Apologies, Ayan Hasnan. Go Salawat.
Go sit.
Allahumma salli ala Muhammad wa ali.
Allahumma salli ala Muhammad. Assalamu alaikum everyone. My name is Ayan Ali Hassan.
Hasnan. I am 7 years old. Today I am going to tell you about what is Muharram. Muharram is the first month of Islamic calendar. Muharram is the most important of all the months except for Ramadan. The 10 days of Muharram is the day of Ashura. And that's when the Battle of Karbala happened. And the battle happened between Imam Hussein alayhi salam and the bad king Yazid. Yazid was a bad person, and he did not listen to Allah and do good things for the people. But the people were also not truthless. They wrote letters to our Imam to ask for help, but in truth they were trying to trick the Imam to come and fight the bad king. Yazid sent a soldier named Shimon with an army of 10,000 people to fight our Imam Hussein alayhi salam. Our Imam only had 72 friends and family with him. Shimon killed our Imam and a lot of his friends and family. Lessons we learn from the Battle of Karbala. Stand for the truth. Always ask for help from Allah. Be a good friend. Be patient and kind. Our Imam and his friends suffered a lot, but a lot of pain. But they sacrificed his life. So today we all can continue being proud Muslims and do good things in this month. We should not listen to music, go to parties. We should remember the sadness of our Imams and his family. We should do good things and help each other. Lots of kindness. Allahumma salli wa Muhammad wa ali Muhammad.
Jazakallah. Before I invite the next speaker up, I would like you to recite another loud salawat. There is no life without Hussein. How can we live without Hussein? Our holy land in Karbala, the whole world is within Azza. There is no life without Hussein. There is no life without Hussein. One thing I've personally learned this past Muharram, the more contemplation I did, was that the message of Karbala, if we limit it just to that time, we aren't really getting anything out of it, right? And rather, we need to look at Karbala more so, or the events of Ashura as more so, as something that's timeless. All the prophets, whenever they had any problem, they'd always look at Karbala, right? And we should do the exact same. And when you look within Karbala, you'll find so many, just countless messages that we can, take upon ourselves. For example, the story of Hazrat Hud, for example, right? his story was, one that was just, that of the great, it was like one of the greatest stories of, or it was one of like the greatest stories of redemption. He, instead of being with an army of 10,000, God knows how many people there were in that army, he chose to come to the 72, and just for the sake of Allah. He knew what was right, and all of them in that army knew what was right, knew what was the right path, but they still chose to stay, with those worldly desires. And the more that I look around us, and the more that I look within myself, I always ask myself, would I really be able to do the same thing if I was in his position? And it's just like these little things that you find in Karbala that make you really, just contemplate over, and it helps you, I guess, bring more, I guess, character development within yourself. I don't know if any of that made sense to you, but essentially what I'm trying to say is that, we should really just look to Karbala and see what growth we can get out of it. Please try another salawat. Allahumma. With that being said, I'd like to invite our next speaker, Sister Sayyidah Zainab Fatima Rizvi. Salawat. Salawat.
Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamu alaikum, dear Sunday school staff, students, and community members. My name is Zainab Rizvi. I'm 8 years old. My speech is a very important message for everyone. One of a very famous orators, a khatib in Islamic Iran, a teacher, was telling the story that this famous khatib died, and his friend saw him in the dream. What's your situation in Barzakh? He said. None of my prayers were accepted. All of the salat prayers I did were rejected. None of those prayers are worthy of acceptations in the eyes of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. All my fastings were rejected. None of the ibadat were accepted by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. All of my majlis azad that I recited throughout my life were rejected. It is too sad to hear, too sad and eye-opening for a sinner like me to maintain our ikhlas and not to do the public pleasing. This recital rejected. Only one majlis of mine were accepted by Imam Hussein alayhi salam, and which was at Majlis he was staying. One day I was walking on the footpath, and an elderly woman, a very poor elderly woman, walked up to me and said, I know you are a very famous khatib in the country. I'm holding a majlis at my house like I do every year. I know you are a famous person, but if you can please come and recite a majlis at my house, I will be very grateful. The famous khatib said. I accepted her offer and went to her house. That poor lady had no gallery. She only had 3, 4, or 5 elderly sitting on the ground. They had no carpet. All of them were very poor. Then I recited the majlis. After the majlis ended, that elderly lady gave me some money, but I refused. I said, no, I don't need your money. I have lots of money. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala gave me so much already, alhamdulillah. She said, no way, I work throughout the year to earn this money. I intend to give this money to the person who recites the majlis at my house. You must accept this money. So the khatib said, after she insisted, I accepted her gift. It was a small amount of money. She had nothing in her house, but whatever she collected from halal, she gave it to me. I accepted it so I don't break her heart. This khatib is saying all this to his friend in his dream. It was only Majlis Imam Hussein alayhi salam accepted from me. We need to do some things for sake of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala without the rejections of people recognizing us as a Darone Imam. This story I copied from a video clip of Mulana Sayyid Abbas Elia. He has been to our Islamic Center. This is a very important message for everyone to understand. Jazakallah Salawat.
Jazakallah, please recite another loud salawat. Allahumma salli ala Muhammad wa ala. Can I invite Brother Aoun to give a speech on Hazrat Anna Muhammad? Allahumma salli ala. Actually, Majlis. Let's go.
Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamu alaikum everyone. Today I would like to dedicate my speech to Hazrat Aoun alayhi salam and Muhammad alayhi salam. They were the sons of Bibi Zainab. Aoun and Muhammad were young. Aoun was about 13 and Muhammad a few years younger. On the night before Ashura, Bibi Zainab told them, "My sons, there will be a battle tomorrow. I cannot ask you to fight, but if anything happens to Imam Hussein while you're still alive, I will be ashamed." The two boys immediately replied, "Mother, we have the blood of Abdul ibn Ja'far in us. Do you possibly think we can shame them? Unless you forbid us from fighting, we shall go to the battlefield and show the enemies how bravely the children of Islam can fight." They requested Imam Hussein to fight on the battlefield. However, Imam Hussein would not give them permission for solo combat. The boys went to their mother for help. Bibi Zainab requested for Imam Hussein and convinced him with her words. He allowed the two boys to go to the battlefield. The next morning, he helped them mount the horses. Once they got to the battlefield, Aoun and Muhammad fought bravely. Once Umar Said had discovered who they were, he ordered his soldiers to surround the boys and kill them. The two boys were attacked from both sides. They had been overpowered and killed. Imam Hussein and Hazrat Abbas carried the two young bodies to a tent and laid their still bodies. O Aoun and Muhammad, go to sleep, the precious sons of Bibi Zainab. On the day of setting suns, goodbye, Aoun and Muhammad.
MashaAllah. Can I please invite Brother Hussein Rizvi to give a speech on Bibi Fatima? Salawat.
Salawat. Assalamu alaikum everyone. Today I'll be reading a bit about Bibi Fatima alayhi salam and how she was born in a society where daughters were buried alive. The Prophet, peace be upon him, reformed the society by addressing the equality of human beings, particularly the inequality of genders. And there was a need for a female role model, and Bibi Fatima alayhi salam was that role model. In Surah Takwir, ayat number 8, Allah says, Bismillahirrahmanirrahim, "The day of judgment will be the day when baby girls, buried alive, ask, 'For what sin was I killed?' There was a custom amongst Arabs to bury their daughters alive at the time the Prophet was alive, because they did not want to see their daughters abused and used just the way they used to disrespect women. Imagine a mom, and she's got this beautiful baby girl, and dad comes up and says it's time. And she says, "No, a few more months, please." Imagine he comes back again and says, "It's time." But then the mother says, "Please, a little bit longer." And he says, "Okay," but there comes a day when he says, "I'm sorry, but we have to bury her. We have to take her." The parents thought this was a big favor of love that they were burying their daughter. Imagine this daughter is holding her father's hand and happily going to the village square where there are a lot of people waiting, and there is a hole, and she says, "Are we going to a fun place?" And when their father is putting her in the hole, she asks, "Are we playing hide and seek?" And then he climbs out, and it's he who is storing soil, and the little baby is crying out to her dad for help. Imagine that scenario. This is what used to happen to baby girls when Bibi Fatima was born. The Prophet had to change this entire society, and it's in this environment that our Prophet, peace be upon him, raised his daughter Bibi Fatima. He stood every time when Bibi Fatima walked inside. When somebody asked our Prophet, "Why do you call her Fatima?" he said that this name was given to her from divinity, and it meant that she will be one who will wean those from Jahannam to Jannat. He used to say, "Fatima is a part of me. One who hurts her also hurts me, and one who hurts me has also hurt Allah." She is the perfect idol for all women in all of their roles as a daughter, wife, mother, community member, teacher. She is an embodiment of moral features. Bibi Fatima, peace be upon her, proves that a Muslim woman can hold on to her dignity while taking part in social activities and preserve her nobility as a Muslim. She was involved socially and politically in many manners, and this shows that in an Islamic society, a woman cannot remain a neutral observer. She left her legacy of imamah through her sons Hassan, peace be upon him, and Hussein, peace be upon him, and ideals for women to follow in her daughters, Zainab and Kulsum, peace be upon them. Clearly, Bibi Fatima was an amazing role model and idol for everyone in Islam, not just women. Thank you for listening. Salawat.
Jazakallah, please recite another loud salawat. Can I now please have Sister Fatima Rizvi to give a speech on Imam al-Mahdi from the sisters? Allahumma salli ala Muhammad wa ala Muhammad.
Assalamu alaikum, respected Sunday school teachers, students, and community members. My name is Sayyida Fatima Zahra Rizvi, and my topic is about the Imam of our time, Salawat. A man shows up in front of Imam Sadiq alayhi salam and says, "Are you Al-Qaim, the riser?" One of the titles of Imam al-Mahdi alayhi salam, as we all know. He says to Imam Sadiq alayhi salam, "Are you Al-Qaim, the riser?" Imam Sadiq alayhi salam did not respond to him by saying, "No, I'm not Al-Qaim, that's not my title. This is the title of my such and such son who is going to be born. He is Al-Qaim. I am Jafar ibn Muhammad al-Sadiq." Imam al-Sadiq alayhi salam did not reply like that. Instead he said, "We are all those who install the amr and command of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala." This man did not understand the point of Imam al-Sadiq alayhi salam was trying to send across. He failed to understand the point, so he said to Imam al-Sadiq alayhi salam, "That are you the owner of the sword? We have heard so much that Imam al-Mahdi alayhi salam is going to do the uprising with the sword of Zulfiqar." Imam al-Sadiq alayhi salam replied to him, "Each one of us is the owner of the sword and the inheritor of the sword." This man still did not understand the point that Imam al-Sadiq alayhi salam was trying to make. That man again asked the question, "That means you are the Mahdi." The word al-Mahdi in Arabic means the guided one. Imam al-Sadiq alayhi salam did not reply to him that, "No, my title is not al-Mahdi. I am Jafar ibn Muhammad as-Sadiq." He did not say it like that. Instead, he replied, "We all guide towards Allah." What's the point that Imam al-Sadiq is constantly trying to send across, and this person is not understanding the point of Imam al-Mahdi alayhi salam? The point to understand is there is no difference between Imam al-Sadiq alayhi salam and Imam Mahdi alayhi salam. If the people in the community do the rest of their political obligation the way we do the rest of the religious obligations considered to be an obligation and responsibility, if our community is not separating our religion from politics and performing their social, political, economic obligation towards the Imam of our time, Imam al-Sadiq alayhi salam would have established the government of justice long before Imam Mahdi will establish, because all of the Imams were sent for the same purpose. If Imam Sadiq alayhi salam could not establish the government of justice, it is because the agreement and covenant given by our souls in the world of souls was breached by the community. That's the reason. Not that Imam Sadiq alayhi salam doesn't have the guts and talents and attributes and highness, that he's unable to install the government. No. They are all part of one Nur, and they all guide us towards Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and we should follow the path of the Ahlul Bayt alayhi salam. I have copied this from one of the majlises of Allama Sayyid Abbas Ilya. He has come to Jafri a few years ago. Jazakallah.
MashaAllah. Please recite another loud salawat. Now, before we invite our main speaker, I'd like to invite our final speaker, Rehan Rizvi. Salawat.
Salawat. Assalamu alaikum, everyone. Today I'm going to speak about Imam Zain al-Abidin alayhi salam and his role in Karbala. In our daily lives, we encounter situations that test the limit of our patience. This can be very difficult at times when we are at the side of truth, no matter the issue. What does one do in such conditions? We need to look no further than the household of Muhammad, peace be upon him, for guidance. After having suffered a horrific massacre of his family, members, and companions on the plains of Karbala, Imam Zain al-Abidin alayhi salam, along with the household of the Holy Prophet, peace be upon him, had to undergo the humiliation of a forced walk in chains through the marketplace of Syria. Soldiers brought the fourth Imam alayhi salam, along with the women and children of the martyrs of Karbala, before the tyrant Yazid. May Allah keep his mercy away from him. Yazid's sole intention was to humiliate and destroy the household of the Holy Prophet, peace be upon him, and cement his rule. What he found out instead was the truth. Exercise patience with perseverance, that there is always victorious. This became a lesson for generations to come. Without a doubt, Yazid ibn Muawiyah was amongst the cruelest leaders in human history. He bound Imam Zain al-Abidin alayhi salam and members of his family in chains before him. In such a vulnerable condition, the Imam, peace be upon him, could have easily have relented to the will of Yazid. However, he did not. He had no arms or companions to support him, but he knew that he was on the side of truth. The Imam, peace be upon him, exposed Yazid, and out of fear, Yazid had no choice but to let the Imam and his family go. Yazid thought he had won by massacring Imam Hussein alayhi salam, his family and companions, and taking other members of his family captive. What resulted instead was exposure of caliphate as false and the recognition of truth for many generations to come. Salawat.
Jazakallah. Please recite another loud salawat for Rehan. Now I'd like to invite the final speaker. Just to give some background on him, he's one of JIS's respected alumni. His name is Haider Jafri. Okay, we'll add him as well. All right. Sorry, we have one more speaker. Apparently, I would like to invite Kayan Bukhari to give a speech. Salawat.
Assalamu alaikum. My name is Muhammad Karan Bukhari from 9 to 10 class. My speech is about Imam Sajjad. His name was Ali. His title is Zain al-Abidin, ornament of the worshippers, Sayyid al-Sajjadin, master of the prostrators, Hanya, Abul Hassan, father Ali, Hassan ibn Ali, peace be on them. Mother Ghazala or Salawat, born 5th Shaban, died 25th Muharram, age at martyrdom 57, period of imamate 34 years. Buried in Al-Baqi, Medina. Ali ibn Hussein, peace be on them, the best of worshippers. Hisham, a prominent political figure, struggled to push through the sea of pilgrims in an attempt to reach the holy black stone of Karbala. His attempts were unsuccessful. Suddenly, a man who was undeniably pious approached the pilgrims, swiftly made way for the pious master until he reached the stone. Upon seeing this, the crowd near the politician asked, "Who is that?" Hisham responded dismissively, "I don't know him," even though he did. The celebrated poet Farzaq heard the exchange and declared, "But indeed I know him. This is Ali, the son of Hussein." Zain al-Abidin, the finest of worshippers. Farzaq then proceeded to recite some verses of poetry on the spot. "This is the one whose footsteps are known to the soil. He is known by the house of God, the sanctuary and its surroundings. This is the son of God's finest servants in the entirety. This is the pious, the unattained, the pure, and the beacon. This is the grandson of Lady Fatima. If you do not know who he is, with his great-grandfather, the Prophet of God, you have been concluded. And your utterance, 'Who is this?' does no harm to him. The citizens and foreigners alike, the one you have denied. Let's learn about the fourth Imam's life. He was only an adult male to survive Ashura. His role would reach beyond the plains of Karbala. Imam Sajjad lived on as the voice of the revolution, even in the tyrant's very own palace. Imam Hussein did not allow Zain al-Abidin to fight during the Battle of Ashura due to his illness, and because he needed to survive as the divine representative on earth. For indeed, when Imam Hussein was asked about who the authority would go to if he passed, he said, "To Ali, this son of mine. He is the Imam and the forefather of the following Imams." Imam Sajjad in shackles, along with the women and children, were taken as war prisoners after the Battle of Karbala. In the court of the tyrant Yazid, Imam Zain al-Abidin spoke out in front of the crowd. He announced who he was and what had happened to his family, the protectors of faith. As the Imam eloquently spoke, the people present were spontaneously awakened to the tragedies that had come to pass. The entire court was shaken in an outburst of tears and emotional cries. Yazid feared that the crowd would turn against him, so he ordered that the call of prayer would be made. When the call of prayer reached the phrase, "I bear witness that Muhammad is the messenger of God," Imam Zain al-Abidin turned to Yazid and said, "This is Muhammad. Is he my grandfather or your grandfather, O Yazid? If you say that he is your grandfather, you have lied and rejected the truth. And if you say he is my grandfather, then why did you kill his family?" As people heard these words, they saw Yazid through deception. The court was overtaken by commotion and division. Imam Zain al-Abidin's words, people saw the ugly face of evil that Yazid represented. Imam Zain al-Abidin had a long journey ahead of him, a journey of spreading awareness and sparking. The fourth infallible Imam struggled, but not on the battlefield as Imam Hussein did. His struggle was the same struggle, the struggle of awareness, truth, and love. But the methods and tools varied. Imam Zain al-Abidin pursued his struggle by speaking out, teaching and praying. Yes, by praying. Not the prayer that the one who has given up, surrendered injustice or ignorance, rather the prayer of one who encoded the secrets of awakening into the words of his prayer. The Imam taught of rites and detailed prescription required for true balance. He educated, inspired, and integrated the people. He revived the truth by preparing the hearts of the people to ignite the fire of purpose. Prayers from Al-Sayfa al-Sajjadiyah. You can find this book in the library or get it online. A famous compilation from Imam Zain al-Abidin's prayers is called Sayfa al-Sajjadiyah, the book of one in frequent prostration. This title refers to Imam Zain al-Abidin, devoted worship in which he constantly humbled himself before God. This compilation of prayers can be regarded as fuel for spiritual development, reflecting on the words of Imam Zain al-Abidin in relation to God, creates a healing, motivation, and uplifting effect, to say the very least. Treatise on rights. You can also find this book in the library. It's also free to take. Imam Sajjad is also known to have written a comprehensive treatise on rights. In this unique treatise, Imam eloquently discusses the rights of everything the human being has control over, then the rights of various members of society, spanning from persons, children, to the nation's ruler. Here's a brief selection on the rights of one mother. The right of your mother is that you know she carried you where no one carries anyone. She fed you from the fruit of her heart, which no one feeds anyone. And she protected you with all of her organs. She did not mind going hungry as long as you ate. If she was in the sun, as long as you were in the shade, you were not able to show her gratitude except through God's help and granting of success. Imam Zain al-Abidin, educational and motivational presence, threatened the rulers of his day. It was during the region of Hishma. Yes, the politician from the Anadol, that the Imam was assassinated. Hisham's relative, Walid, had the Holy Imam poisoned. While Imam Zain al-Abidin's noble qualities cannot be encompassed, knowing of a few seeds which the fourth Imam planted tell us stories of blossoming greatness. Salawat.
Jazakallah, please recite another loud salawat. I'd just like to add on to the bit of about the Sahifa Sajjadiyah. So, as you all know, it's a book of du'as written and recited by Mullah Sajjad alayhi salam. And what I've personally found is that oftentimes those du'as, it's like as if many of them are directly relating to you, especially with the youth. We're facing tons of issues today, with mental health, worries about the future, and those du'as in Sahifa Sajjadiyah, they're just so relevant to us. It's definitely worth reciting a few in there if you ever get the chance, and reading through the English translation. Now with that being said, I'd like to invite the final speaker, one of our respected alumni, Heather Jaffrey. Salawat. Salawat.
أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم إن الحسين مصباح الهدى وسفينة النجاة صلوات. Now please recite a salawat in honor of the leader of creation, Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. Please recite a second salawat in honor of the commander of the faithful, Amir al-Mu'mineen, Ali ibn Abi Talib. And now recite a third salawat in honor of the leader of all the women of all times, Sayyidat al-Nisa al-Alameen, Fatima al-Zahra. And one more salawat in honor of Hasan al-Mujtaba. One more salawat in honor of Hussein, al-Shaheed bi Karbala. And one last salawat in honor of the master of our time, Al-Hujja Al-Qaim Al-Muntadhar. Verily, Hussein is that shining light of guidance and that ark of salvation. In these eloquent words, Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa alihi wa sallam, Allahumma salli ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad. In these eloquent words, Rasulullah states the true essence and the status of the reality of Hussein ibn Ali. And now, in this limited time frame that I have, I'm just going to focus on the second part of that, and that is the najat, the salvation. And what is salvation? And as I was preparing for this majlis, I found it interesting how Rasulullah, in his infinite wisdom and his mastery of language, chose to say Safinatun Najat. And so let's focus on the word najat, for example. And why did he not, for example, say refuge? He could have easily said Hussein ibn Ali is a point of refuge, and he is, without any doubt. He protects us from sins, and you'll notice every time we come and gather here in this Majlis that after listening to these personalities, absorbing qualities from these personalities from Karbala, from Kufa and Sham, these personalities make us want to steer away from sin, and we find ourselves less prone to go towards these negative actions. And that's why refuge could be, yes, that is one description of Hussein ibn Ali. But let's go into the meaning of refuge, for example, and compare it back to what is salvation. Now, refuge in this connotation, we can see as a safe haven of sorts, something that is protecting us. It could be an object, it could be a place that protects us from any external force which we do not desire to be inflicted upon ourselves. I'll give you an example. It's raining outside, and the human instinct is to prevent the rain from touching the hair on top of our heads. We go towards what? Some sort of shade. And we go towards that shade, and that shade acts as a refuge because it protects us from that rain from hitting our heads if we do not desire that rain upon our heads. And the interesting part about this, and we'll connect it back to salvation, is that refuge serves you in the sense that it protects you from an external negative force. And so after, let's say, when you want to move on with your life, when you want to progress with your life, and you are at this shelter, you're at this place of refuge, and you want to leave and you have to progress on, you have to leave that refuge. You have to move on with your life. You cannot bring it with you. Now connect this back to salvation. What is salvation? Salvation is not just protecting you from the negative forces, but salvation in its entirety, in its essence, Salvation allows you to bring you closer to God and enjoy all the bounties given to you by God. And I'll give you a perfect example of this through the testament of our faith, La ilaha illallah. The La ilaha you can see as the refuge. The La ilaha is something that protects you from anything but God. It protects you from anything that's not truly the Tawheed that is Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, the most merciful, the greatest of all. That is refuge. But that's all it is. If you want to go to the next level, and there's a reason Hussein ibn Ali is called this, and I'll get to that, is that this second level where you're enjoying all the bounties of Allah, you can only see that through salvation. So the La ilaha in this example is just refuge, but the illallah, the La ilaha illallah, the entirety can be encompassed through the idea of salvation. Please recite a salawat. And now the second point I would like to mention is this idea of the safina, the actual ark of salvation, because it's a very unique choice of words from Rasulullah saying that Hussein is that ark of salvation. And so if you go back to the example of the rain and the shed or a shelter, for example, that this shelter, the shade, this refuge cannot budge back and forth. It cannot move left to right. It cannot move forward or back. It cannot do anything. It stays in place. That is its intention. That's its niyah. That's its goal. That's the purpose it serves in the grander scheme of everything. And now you understand that Rasulullah in his infinite wisdom chose the word to describe Imam Hussein as that ark of salvation, because what is an ark? If you look at an ark, you go to the ocean, and I ask you the question, have you ever seen an ark that stays in place in the water? You'll never see an ark that stays in place in the middle of the sea, because no, there's a reason for that ark. That ark is going towards something. There's a point A and a point B. There's a point of origin, and then there's a destination. And now you understand that Hussein ibn Ali, the end goal is not just Hussein ibn Ali, but when you go into this ark of salvation, you see that it picks you up from wherever you are, whatever place of sin that you're in, and it brings you towards this point of pure salvation. And the journey itself is salvation. This ark itself is salvation, not just the destination. And now you go on this ark, you're going on this ark of salvation where just being on that ark itself is salvation. And what is the end goal? The end goal itself is Tawheed and truly understanding Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Please recite a salawat. And now from that I'm going to progress on to another point. We've gathered here for 2 months, and before that, year after year after year after year. And I know this is a Sunday school majlis, so there's definitely many members of our youth here, from little kids to teenagers, and there's some adults, and there's parents too. So there's a level, there's a variation in the level of experience in this entire audience. And so every one of us can all relate by saying that we've all been to the Majlis-e-Azah. We've all gathered here in Muharram to mourn the loss of Hussein ibn Ali and his companions and reflect over it. And now, yes, it is in our beliefs that if we go to these majalis, and because Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala himself loves those who love the Ahlul Bayt and those who cry in the times that the Ahlul Bayt are sad in their mourning and are happy in their times of happiness, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala no doubt loves them. And to say that, yes, we're going to go here, inshallah, we'll achieve salvation because basta, that's all you need. And that's true, inshallah, that is in our belief. But the reality is that we have to reflect upon the value of these majalis and why are they sent upon us. You go year after year after year, and the frightening reality is that every time that you go, it's very much possible that we go on the basis of tradition rather than the basis of ibadat. And when you go on the basis of tradition, you'll go here, yes, you could possibly be able to mourn, and that's the mercy of Allah upon you. But the reality is, it's possible that our knowledge, our faith, our belief system does not increase as we would like it to. And a prime example of this, if you look at a graph, the goal should be that for the X number of majalis that you go to, the spirituality is like a linear graph. It goes up and up and up, and it should not fluctuate. But the reality, and as we are human beings, that is within our nature, we fluctuate. So we have to put our full efforts in understanding that in order to truly progress our belief system and our faith and our knowledge in these months, we truly have to absorb something from these lectures, from this azadari, from everything what we do to commemorate the Ahlul Bayt alayhimus salam. And yes, it is a frightening reality when sometimes it feels that you're blocked off, and you realize that sometimes, for example, in the past, that I did not receive as much as I could have from a lecture, for example. I did not take away something from this lecture because it came and went. The next day I went back to my regular life. I didn't change. But if you look at this arc of salvation of Hussein ibn Ali, you see that the doors never close. The doors never shut off to anyone, and that's the beauty. The arc of Nuh alayhi salam, in the Quran, you'll see, yes, everybody was warned, and every human was warned that yes, this storm is going to come, and you're going to die if you don't go on this. And then the storm came, everybody flooded, even from the height of the mountains, the floods reached that height. And only the people on that ark itself were saved. But the ark of Hussein, there's a different energy to it. And it's amazing to think about. I don't think the human minds could truly encompass and truly understand the depth and the realities, the hidden realities behind this. That this ark of Hussein, you could be drowning in the deepest of seas, but that ark of Hussein is not just an ark, not just a physical ark, but there's a magnetic force field. And that force field brings you towards itself. When you have some glimmer of hope or some love for Imam Hussein alayhi salam within your heart, you'll see that you're naturally guided towards it, and everybody's journey is different, but they all go towards this same goal, which is to be close to Hussein ibn Ali. And then Hussein ibn Ali takes you on this journey. And so I have a limited speech, so I'm going to be going to Masayib shortly. But before I go into Masayib, I want to state that one of the most important aspects of getting into this safina, getting into this ark, because the scary part is sometimes you'll realize over time and when you reflect that you'll be on the waiting dock for this ark of salvation, but you won't be on the ark itself. But the easiest way to get there, and yes, you have to reflect, you have to try to increase your knowledge, you have to make a commitment to God and the Ahlul Bayt alayhim salam that yes, I'm going to continuously increase in my faith. The easiest way to get to that is to shed tears for Hussein ibn Ali and his family. And we all are accustomed to hearing on this Farsi Azah that the hadith of Imam Zain al-Abidin alayhi salam, that a believer who sheds even one tear, and that tear goes down the cheek, it rolls down the cheek, that believer will have a spot in paradise who God himself will create for that believer, and that believer will rest there for ages upon ages. And now there is an interesting reality of this final stage of Muharram. We're all in it. The last majlis, inshallah, is going to be in a couple days. We're all going to gather here. This might be some of our last majlises, but some people might come on the last majlis. Some people are going to make an effort. There's some opportunities left to go to a majlis, but this is basically it. After this, and I could say that confidently, even for myself, that I'm going to be going back to my life. And there's a common saying that, Muharram is over, let's just go back to our old life, let's readjust. Sometimes, because this is a Sunday school majlis, so they're all kids here, and they all go to regular school. School started around September time. So now, people can say confidently, okay, Muharram's over, the weekends are free now, we can recalibrate, sleep on time, wake up on time, fix our schedule. But the reality is, and we call it Al-Wadai Majlis, and this is another point. Yes, you say farewell to Imam Hussein when he passes away, but you never actually say farewell to Imam Hussein. He is with you from every moment And yes, that form could even be through the 12th Imam, who hears every one of your words before it even reaches your own ear. That is a connection of us to the Ahlul Bayt alayhim salam. So now we're going into this period, now we're leaving Muharram, and now this Majlis Azad might not be as common to us for at least the next couple of months. So as you go, I just want you to bring your hearts for one moment towards the caravan. This caravan that was looted, destroyed. Hijabs were taken away. Men were killed. And we are all accustomed, we all know the story of Karbala. We know who was taken away, and we know that this caravan that's going back to Medina now. And what is Medina? This is the land of the greatest, the leader of all creation, Rasulullah. This is the land, this is their homeland of the Ahlul Bayt. And this caravan, it's going back. But you know their leader is not there. The leader of that caravan, Hussein ibn Ali, is not there. No, he's in Karbala. The flag bearer, Abbas, that we all love and we call Bab al-Hawa'ij, he was left back there. Hazrat Ali Akbar, he was left in Karbala. That little baby, Hazrat Ali Asghar, via the three-pronged arrow, was also left in Karbala. And then Kufa and Sham happened, and even, yes, in that we lost more people, and among them, who we all know, the daughter of Hussein ibn Ali, that little girl whose earrings were snatched from her very ears, who could not endure the actual separation from her and her father, Sakina. She was also left back on the path, and now they're all returning back to Medina. Everybody, please close your eyes and imagine the scene that's happening as we speak, when Bibi Zainab and Imam Zainul Abidin and the companions who are left are returning back to their home. Imam Zainul Abidin sends two messengers back to Medina, and he tells them to set up, just a little tent. Set up two tents, one for the men, for Imam Zainul Abidin, and one for the women, so that when we get there, we can just rest and just sit there for a little bit and warn the people of Medina of what just happened on Karbala, not just Karbala, and Kufa and Sham. And so now they go and they arrive. You see the tents are there. You see Imam Zainul Abidin go into the tent. You see Bibi Zainab and the other woman, the woman who only God knows have survived that moment. Not just that one moment, but all the moments between Karbala, in which I don't know how, but not even us as believers can handle what happened at Karbala. We spent 10 days talking about different personalities within Karbala, but imagine within a matter of hours, all 72 were killed. Those are those same women, and I'm talking about Bibi Zainab herself, that saw all of that within her own eyes, but it didn't stop there. It went to Kufa and Sham, and everywhere in between. And so now they're in Medina. And right before they arrive, you know what Bibi Zainab, she says to Imam Zainul Abidin, and these words are going to shake the heart of every single believer here, every single one of you. She says to Imam Zainul Abidin, how do I tell Fatima Sughra? How do I tell Bibi Fatima Sughra what happened in Karbala and what happened in Kufa and Sham? And do you know these words of Imam Zainul Abidin? They're going to shake you. You know what he says? He says, Zainab, I pray to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala that you have the sabr and the patience of none other than your mother Fatima Zahra, and that you have the valiance and the bravery of your father Ali ibn Abi Talib, Amir al-Mu'mineen. That you have the strength of both of them when you tell her what happened on the path and the caravan and what happened to every single one of them. So now they go, they're in the tents, and now you see coming from afar, from a distance, Bibi Zainab, she can see from far away. What does she see? She says she sees Bibi Sughra, and on one side is who? It's Baneen. On one side, who? It's Salma. They're slowly approaching and they can see the reality. In fact, reports state that miles away, even from miles away, you could hear the crying from the people of Medina once they found out what happened to the family of the Ahlul Bayt. And so now, she hears that she's going towards this. And she goes inside and she's looking around, she sees all these mothers. And she starts weeping and she starts saying, where is Sakina? Oh, little sister, come here. I heard what happened to everyone. Let me console you. You're my little sister. Let me hug you. Let me console you. She keeps calling the name of Sakina. And only the daughter of Ali and the daughter of Zahra could only tell her what happened with Sakina. She tells Sughra that no, Sakina did not come back with us. She could not bear the burden of leaving her father. She could not leave her father, Hussein ibn Ali. Then when she saw the head of Hussein ibn Ali, she couldn't handle it and she passed away. Sughra is crying, she's weeping, she falls to the ground. And now you see she's looking around and she hopes, there's a little glimmer of hope in her eyes, or maybe there's gonna be a little baby. A little baby's gonna crawl out. That little baby's gonna look at her and she could hug that baby and at least console that little baby, that little 8-9-month-old baby. That baby does not show up. And Zainab, now she cannot. She can't handle it. She herself is crying. She's weeping. She cannot handle it. She calls upon the master, the Imam of the time. And only from that power of Imamah did Imam Zain al-Abidin. He came and now he tells Sughra, no. Ali Asghar didn't make it either. And on this time, after everything happened, they returned to Medina, this caravan, this looted caravan. It's over. This journey of tears and of blood is over. And now they're returning to their land of Medina. And I just want to say one more thing. It's almost namaz time. One more thing of Zainab, she saw everything and she is the leader of the caravan now. She is the one that carries on this Safina of Najat. She's the one that carries on this ark of salvation. And she, mind you, and we all hear this, that she never cried upon her own children. We all know that she dedicated her crying to Hussein ibn Ali. And that was even after Yazid and the oppressive forces did not even let Zainab cry over Hussein ibn Ali. And now she goes home. And mind you, this is the home where even her own husband could not recognize her because her hair went gray and she was not even recognizable. And now she goes into the room. She goes into that house. And what does she see? She sees small prayer mats. She sees a small bed. She sees these small clothes. And now she falls. She falls on her knees. She falls on the feet. And she cannot handle it anymore. She starts thinking about, oh no, Muhammad. Those people, those two children that were her only heirs. They were only her successors. And after they were killed on the plains of Karbala, Zainab, she fell into a prostration of shukr, of gratitude, and where she's thanked Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala for this sacrifice that she was able to give. But now she sees everything that she left behind in Karbala. She falls down and she's crying. This Karbala, this journey is not over for her. Yes, it might be over for us, but keep in mind, Zainab is not at peace now. She is not content now. Now she has to live life without her entire family. Inna lillah wa inna ilayhi raji'un. Matam Hussein.
Ya Hussein, Ya Hussein, Ya Hussein, Ya Hussein, Ya Hussein.
जब मुझे आपके कातिल ने हमारा बाबा, जब मुझे आपके कातिल ने हमारा बाबा, जब मुझे आपके कातिल ने
ہمارا بابا جب مجھے آپ کے قاتل نے ہمارا بابا ہر تماچے پہ سکینہ نے ہر تماچے پہ سکینہ نے پکارا بابا جب مجھے آپ کے قاتل نے ہمارا بابا جب مجھے آپ کے قاتل نے ہمارا بابا مجھے بالوں سے پکڑ کر ہے تماچے مارے مجھے بالوں سے پکڑ کر ہے تماچے مارے میں نے سرشمر سے مانگا جو تمہارا بابا جب مجھے آپ کے قاتل نے ہمارا بابا جب مجھے آپ کے قاتل نے ہمارا بابا وہ جو درا اپنے تحفے میں مجھے بخشے تھے وہ جو درا اپنے تحفے میں مجھے بخشے تھے ان کو بے دردی سے ظالم نے اتارا بابا جب مجھے آپ کے قاتل نے ہمارا بابا جب مجھے آپ کے قاتل نے ہمارا بابا
Ya Hussein, Ya Hussein,
I'll read with you.
Ya Hussein, Ya Hussein, Ya Hussein, Ya Hussein, Ya Hussein, Ya Hussein, Ya Hussein.
یہ تو مظلوم کا ماتم ہے کرنا ہوگا ہر گھر میں ہوئے گا ہر گردش میں ہوئے گا گلزار میں ہوئے گا یہ تو مظلوم کا ماتم ہے کرنا ہوئے گا یہ تو مظلوم کا ماتم ہے کرنا ہوئے گا حسین یا حسین حسین یا حسین حسین یا حسین سیدہ زینب کی ادا ہے فاطمہ زہرا کی دعا ہے زین العابد کی دل میں دل کی صدا ہے جانم ہم دل میں ہوگا کا ماتم ہے کرنا ہوگا یہ تو مظلوم کا ماتم ہے کرنا ہوگا مظلوم کا ماتم ہے کرنا ہوگا ہر دل میں ہوگا ہر گھر میں ہوگا گلزار ہوگا ذات میں ہوگا مظلوم کا ماتم ہے کرنا ہوگا مظلوم کا کرنا ہوگا ہر گھر میں ہوگا ہر دش میں ہوگا گلزار میں ہوگا یہ مظلوم کا ماتم ہے کرنا ہوگا یا حسین حسین یا حسین حسین یا حسین سیدہ زینب کی ادا ہے سیدہ فاطمہ کی دعا ہے دل کی دعا ہے ہوگا مظلوم کا ماتم ہے کرنا ہوگا مظلوم کا ماتم ہے ہوگا مظلوم کا ماتم ہے کرنا ہوگا ہر گھر میں ہوگا ہر دل میں ہوگا گلزار میں ہوگا یہ تو مظلوم کا ماتم ہے کرنا ہوگا یہ تو مظلوم کا ماتم ہے کرنا ہوگا ہر گھر میں ہوگا ہر دش میں ہوگا
گلزار میں ہوئے گا یہ تو مظلوم کا ماتم ہے کرنا ہوگا حسین یا حسین حسین یا حسین سیدہ زینب کی عزا ہے فاطمہ زہرا کی دعا ہے زین العیدن کی صدا ہے کہ ہوگا مظلوم کا ماتم ہے کرنا ہوگا مظلوم کا ماتم ہے کرنا ہوگا ہر گھر میں ہوگا درش میں ہوئے گا یہ تو گلزار میں ہوئے گا مظلوم کا ماتم ہے کرنا ہوگا یہ تو مظلوم کا ماتم ہے کرنا ہوگا ہر گھر میں ہوگا ہر دیش میں ہوگا گلزار میں ہوگا مظلوم کا ماتم ہے کرنا ہوگا حسین یا حسین حسین یا حسین حسین یا حسین سیدہ زینب کی عزا ہے فاطمہ زہرا کی دعا ہے زین العید بھی صدا ہے مظلوم کا ماتم ہے کرنا ہوگا ہر گھر مظلوم کا ماتم ہے کرنا ہوگا ہر گھر میں ہوگا ہر دش میں ہوگا گلزار میں ہوگا یہ تم مظلوم کا ماتم ہے کرنا ہوگا
یا حسین الوداع 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 اے حسین الوداع 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 اے حسین یہ صدائے فغاں اور یہ مجلس یہ صدائے فغاں اور یہ مجلس یہ صدائے ماتم و نوح اور غم کیے ستے ماتم ماتم و نوح اور غم کی یہ زینت چاہتا ہے یہ دل یوں ہی قائم رہے 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 آہ پھٹتا ہے دل کس طرح یہ کہے الوداع 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 اے حسین الوداع الوداع اے حسین یہ صدائے فغاں اور یہ مجلس یہ صدائے فغاں اور یہ مجلس ماتم و نوح اور غم کی یہ زینت ماتم و نوح اور غم کی یہ زینت چاہتا ہے یہ دل یوں ہی قائم رہے 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 آہ پھٹتا ہے دل کس طرح یہ کہے الوداع 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 اے حسین الوداع الوداع میرے مہمان ہے آخری یہ سلام میرے مہمان ہے آخری یہ سلام تجھ پہ قربان ہے آخری یہ سلام تجھ پہ قربان ہے آخری یہ سلام شاہ ذیشان ہے آخری یہ سلام شاہ ذیشان ہے آخری یہ سلام شاہ ذیشان ہے آخری یہ سلام دل ہے ویران ہے آخری یہ سلام الوداع الوداع بخش دے ہو گئی ہو جو کوئی خطا بخش دے ہو گئی حق سے خدمت نہ ہم سے ادا ہو سکا حق سے خدمت نہ ہم سے ادا غم یہی ہے نہ جی بھر کے ماتم کیا غم غم یہی ہے نہ جی بھر کے ماتم کیا تیری خاطر نہ کیوں اپنا سر دے دیا الوداع 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 اے حسین حسین الوداع الوداع اے شہ مشرقین الوداع بنت احمد کے اے نور عین الوداع بنت احمد کے اے نور عین الوداع ہے مجاہد کے لب پر یہ بین الوداع 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 اے حسین یا حسین یا حسین For ziyarat, after Salat, food will be served. Salawat.
Assalamu alaikum ya Rasulullah, Assalamu alaikum ya Nabiyullah, Assalamu alaikum ya Khudija Tul Kubra, Assalamu alaikum ya Alaikia ya Fatima Izera Sayyidatin Nisa al-Amin, Assalamu alaikum ya Amir ul-Mu'minin, Assalamu alaikum ya Hassan Mujtaba, Assalamu alaikum ya Hussein Sayyidus Shuhada, Assalamu alaikum Hussein wa Allah Ali ibn Hussein wa Allah al-Dil Hussein wa Allah Yashab al-Hussein. Assalamu alaikum ya Abul Fazl Abbas, Assalamu alaikum ya Zainab Ikubra Sharakitullah Hussein, Assalamu alaikum ya Ali Zain ul-Albanin, السلام علیکم یا محمد بکر، السلام علیکم یا جعفر صادق، السلام علیکم یا موسیٰ کاظم، السلام علیکم یا علی ویزا، السلام علیکم یا محمد تقی، السلام علیکم یا علی نقی، السلام علیکم یا حسن العسکری، السلام علیکم یا صاحب العصر و زمان علمان من فتنة الزمان، السلام علیکم یا قادفت الرحمن، السلام علیکم یا شریک اللہ قرآن، السلام علیکم یا مسرہ ایمان، السلام علیکم یا امام الانس والجان، السلام علیکم یا امامی زمانہ حضا اجل اللہ تعالی فرجک و سہل اللہ مخرج و ذخر۔ السلام علیکم ورحمۃ اللہ وبرکاتہ۔
Salat will be at 6:42 inshallah.